Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. Well, we got another order for another firewood cutting table here. If you don't know what this is, basically you set 4, 5, 6 logs on here. It's up off the ground. You can cut your firewood without getting your chain in the dirt. All of your logs are at waist height, so you're not bending over to cut them or pick them up and put them on your splitter. Anyway, I've had this idea now for a while. I'm not going to take credit for the idea of a firewood cutting table. However, I do take credit for this design. I have not seen another one on the internet like this, built as well as this one is. And I actually took this table up to the Woodsman's Field Days in Boonville, New York, and a lot of people really liked the idea. They thought that it was great. However, they were taking pictures of it and they were going to go home and build it themselves, which is fine. I've always said this is a DIY project if you have the extra time and you have the carpentry skills to build something like this. And thanks to your guys' suggestions, a lot of you said, for those guys that want to go build it themselves, you can still monetize your design by making a set of plans and selling them the plans instead of the table. And I thought that that was a great idea. Since this customer wanted this table made specifically out of softwood or pressure treated construction, this table's a lot lighter. He has a John Deere 1025, and he didn't think that his little tractor would be able to pick up one that was made out of hardwood construction, which is how I used to make them with off of our sawmill here. But since I had to go to Home Depot anyway, I needed a shopping list of how many 4x4s, how many 5/4 decking boards do I need, how many timber locks, how many lag screws. I needed to make my own material list, and I thought, why not take this opportunity to make myself a material list, a cut list, and then I took it one step further and I actually made a 28-minute step-by-step tutorial video on exactly how to make this. Every cut, every screw, where everything goes, how to get all your joints nice and tight. And I have that on YouTube right now as a private video that I'm going to sell along with the material list and the cut list. So if you're one of those people that you like the idea of the table, but you don't want to pay $1,500 for the table, you can now buy the plans for $50 just by emailing me, hometownacres@outlook.com. Another reason that the plans for this is going to be great is, let's say you do like the table and you would buy it if you were closer, but let's say you live in Texas or Florida or California or Washington, and it just doesn't make sense to ship this across the country. You can now buy the plans and either give it to a carpenter friend of yours, or if you've got some kind of carpentry skills, you can do this yourself. I will tell you, I think with the video that I put together, you could have very little carpentry skills and follow the step-by-step instructions I created and build this yourself. So anyway, with all of that said, this is the first one. Actually, this is the second one I've made out of pressure treated, but I do want to take this down to the wood yard and put some logs on it and cut with it, because the one that I made for myself is made out of hardwood construction. And I just want to do a little bit of product research and development, set some logs on this and see how it performs in comparison to the one I made for myself out of hardwood construction. So that's what we're going to do. The owner of this, the guy that bought it, he's going to be here in a couple hours, so we got to hurry up. Get this thing down to the wood yard and cut some wood with it real quick. All right, so these are obviously my ugly logs that I didn't want to put on the processor because they're all squirrely and crooked, and these just would not feed through the processor real well. But what I found, a lot of people at the Boonville show said, well, if you already have a machine to load the logs on, why wouldn't you just cut them on your pallet forks of your tractor or the grapple of your tractor or your thumb and your bucket of your excavator? And that brings me back to the whole reason I designed this table. My number one reason for wanting this is because I have all the equipment that I used to use to cut it up off the ground with forks or the bucket of the excavator. But what I found is you can only do one log at a time. You pinch one log, cut on this side, and work your way back towards the center, and then you got to get back in the machine, drop it, make that final cut in the center that you couldn't get because your bucket or your forks was in the way, and then get back in the machine, go grab another log. And I just spent most of my time climbing in and out of the machine. And that's why I wanted this firewood cutting table, was so that I could put 4, 5, 6 logs on here and do a whole bunch of cutting all at once, and then get back in the machine 1/6 of the time climbing in and out of the machine. So anyway, with all that said, I'm gonna go ahead and start getting this stuff cut up here. Depending on how soon this guy gets here, normally the idea would be is I would cut one log, fire up the splitter, split all that stuff so I don't have to bend and pick it up off the ground. But because he is gonna be here soon to pick this up, I might just cut all this stuff up and then throw it on the ground here, which kind of defeats the purpose of the table, picking it up off the ground. But given the time constraint I'm under, that might be what I have to do. All right, he's not here yet, so we will get a couple of these up off the table without throwing them on the ground. Again, this is the beauty of the table, is once you cut it, you're not bending at the back to pick these up off the ground and bring them over to your splitter. And the other beautiful thing is, because I have all of these rails preset at 16 inches on center, if you look at how well we did with cutting our firewood pretty consistently, we've got maybe a 1/2 inch of deviation, but that log was crooked, and that's what's gonna happen if you have a crooked log and you're trying to cut straight down through it. Some are gonna be just a little bit longer, but for the most part, I didn't get out a tape measure, I didn't get out a Mingo marker, any sidewalk chalk, none of that stuff, and I would say that is an acceptable difference in the cut. All pretty standard and uniform. All right, the owner just pulled in. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing cleaned off. If anybody's wondering, I did run it by him to see if it was okay if I cut a few logs on this, so I'm not just doing it without his permission, but I do wanna go ahead and leaf blow it off and get it all cleaned back up again for him. All right, so the trailer this guy rented is a 5x9 U-Haul trailer with high sides on it. Not the ideal trailer for picking up one of these tables, but we're gonna go ahead and get creative and make it work. We're gonna have to flip it on its back side in order to fit it down in there. And then he went and bought some ratchet straps, so we'll get it secured down pretty good. Let's just see if it's gonna go. I don't think it's going to, but we'll try real quick. So you see what I mean? Those front legs aren't going to be long enough to, yeah, the runners will be resting on the rail, your side rail. I think what we'll have to do is we'll flip it on its back, and then I'll pick it up. But at least we know it does fit side to side, so that's good. We've got a little bit of room to spare there. So, all right, I'll pick it up, bring it back here and set it on the ground, and then you and I together will flip it on its back, and then I'll grab it. Yeah, right. Yeah. So now come here, I'll get from right here, and just drop it on. That's how this is. Maybe sign right for out. There we go. You pull that out. Well, it's a good thing you didn't get any bigger of a trailer, or else it would have been a waste of money, right?
That's right.
Man, this thing just barely fits in here. Yeah, we had about ½ an inch to spare there.
Like a glove.
All right, so this is Michael. He's getting this strap down here. So where are you from, Michael?
I'm from Massachusetts.
Yeah, and what made you want to make the trip all the way here to buy this thing
Well,
from
it was
me?
kind of funny. I was kind of traveling all over the place for work, and I was in Delaware, then Philly, and had to go to New York, and this was kind of passing by in the travel, so it kind of worked out. It was definitely a trip.
Yeah, you'd said you'd wanted one of these for a while, and then once you saw you had a work trip coming out this way, you wanted to get one.
Yeah,
right?
it was a good excuse to scoop one up, and I've been following the channel for a while, and figured it'd be a good way to support it.
So where do you, I mean, how do you envision using this? What kind of splitter do you have, and what's your wood yard like?
It's pretty small. I rent a spot. I probably do like 30, 40 cords a year. I got a vertical splitter, horizontal splitter, and the way you were kind of advertising the video, kind of not have to minimize the bendovers. So
That's the main reason you wanted it, was just keep your back up, right?
Yeah. I mean, I have a Pokeroon or Pickeroon, but you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to the table, but I think probably one of the biggest ones is not having to bend over for cutting, or moving the rounds to the splitter. And I think another big one is keeping your chain out of the dirt too.
Yeah,
so
yeah, that'll be huge. And
your chain's going to stay sharper longer, less time sharpening chains.
Yeah, just help with the workflow all around. So.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So I used this table as a template to build some plans for it. If I had the plans ready ahead of time, would you have rather have just bought the plans, or are you happy you got the table?
Not a chance. Honestly, I work a lot, travel a lot for work, and pick this up, I'll be able to offload it and start using it. So.
That's what I always tell people that say, "Oh, I'll go home and build it myself." It's like, but will you?
Right.
Do you have the time?
Could I physically do it? Yeah, probably, but I got kids, and I only have X amount of time to kind of play with the firewood operation.
I always tell people, just buy it from me and go home and you're cutting wood on it the next day.
That's exactly what's in my head. So.
Well, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll go ahead and help you get strapped down here and send you on your way.
Appreciate it.
All right, the table's out of here and we are all set up to go ahead and split some wood. Again, this is kind of some older, junkier logs. They were crooked. You can see they're kind of half dry rotted around the edges. So all of this stuff here is going to be for my own personal use. We're going to add it to this basket of chunks off of the processor, and then we're going to start a new basket of just some home heating wood. All right, so we got that all split up, but what a bunch of junky wood. That is one of the benefits, though, of having a firewood business, is you save all the good stuff for the customers, and then all the stuff that is crooked or, you know, offcuts and stuff like this stuff here, it still burns, it still makes heat, and it's basically a waste product of the business, and that's what we use to heat the shop and heat the house with. And I mean, this stuff is, I mean, this is all cherry. It's still really, I mean, I don't want to say good looking stuff in terms of presentation for a customer, but good looking wood as in it's going to burn well, you know? So I'll be happy with that. That'll be basically free heat for up at the shop and at the house. Anyways, guys, back to the firewood cutting table and the plans that I made. I have seen a couple other YouTubers out there replicate the build that I did, and they did a pretty good job on it, but I do know there was one guy that instead of doing diagonal bracing to sturdy up the legs and keep the whole table from racking, he just did, he basically created a framework on the ground around the bottom of the legs. And I don't think he had a true understanding of carpentry and how bracing works, because that was just a waste of lumber. It did nothing to beef up the table at all. So that's one of the benefits of buying the plans. I'm sure there's the guys out there, me being one of them, I could look at that table and go and build it myself, but it would take me longer than if I had plans, right? It might take me a day or two instead of 4 or 5 hours. But that's the benefit of buying the plans, is I've built 8 or 9 of them now. You get my experience, and you don't have to go through, you know, test 1, test 2. You don't have to go back and rebuild anything after you figure some things out. I've already gone through and learned all that. So again, if you want to build it yourself, or you're too far away to just have me build one for you, shoot me an email, hometownacres@outlook.com. You'll get a material list, a cut list, and a 28-minute long video with a detailed step-by-step instruction on how to build it. Another benefit I forgot to mention about buying the plan is maximizing the usable lumber out of the pieces that you're gonna buy from the store. And what I mean by that is reducing the amount of offcuts and scrap. I've already gone through and said, okay, out of this 4x4, you need to cut this piece, and this piece. And at the end of the project, you should be left with very little scrap, probably not even enough to have a campfire. And it's gonna reduce the amount of lumber that you need to buy from the store too, which is gonna save you money. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.